Hi, I'm your host, Captain Oates, and tonight a special episode on smoking cigarettes. Why do humans continue smoking when it is so clearly bad? And why can't they stop? And why have they taken up a new form of smoking? We'll give you the reasons why right after this. Among young people aged under 35 years of age, men are the prime users of tobacco and one of the largest growing groups of roll your own tobacco users. So it is imperative to get to the bottom of this, and to understand that we must understand these humans. Here at Sparkle News, we had to do some reconnaissance, that is to say, spying on the humans. Though it is somewhat of a hobby for their local governments as well, we decided to drop in and see what we could find out about these young men and what drove them to smoke, and smoke particularly roll your own tobacco. Unlike the magical unicorn, humans don't know everything once they begin their lives as a child. They must learn and pick things up from experience. So what is it about these experiences that brings them to smoking, as they would never have heard of such a thing at some point in their life? The first step is crucial. It's how they receive the information, the situation in which communication comes to them. So why do they do it? How do they learn about it? What is their first experiences? Well, as humans model behavior after their parents and life givers, it is these people who do impart many of their habits on children, and children whose parents smoke are far more likely to begin themselves, as they pick up information and learn about smoking from modeling and watching them behave. So without many forms of traditional media to learn about cigarettes, and already having discussed learning it from their parents, the other place that children will learn about smoking is from their peers. Now, it is very important when children grow up that they have a strong peer group around them, as they will form and be molded by those who they grow with. So, you've had a cigarette and you've enjoyed it. Well, you probably haven't enjoyed it, but you've done it enough for the nicotine to set off receptors in the brain and create a pathway that means that you will now crave nicotine. So how do you get your fix? You must go out and get your own supply. So how do people buy cigarettes? Cigarettes are the sort of thing that you will find in the front desk of many supermarkets and at service stations, where people will just pop in and buy them while they're there for something else. The other interesting thing is, knowing the health risks that occur, cigarettes are limited to purchase by only those over 18 years of age. There are limits on where you can smoke too, and this will affect a lot of the behavior people have when it comes to smoking, as you can't just light up inside most public places, or any public places for that matter. A lot of people will smoke in outdoor areas, generally congregating together, and this can drive a bit of bonds between smokers. Forced outside to have a cigarette in close quarters can strike up a conversation. Perhaps someone would need to light their cigarette, ask someone else, and they get a social connection going. And this bond can further drive cigarette usage. Okay, so you've smoked your cigarette, you've relaxed yourself, and you're ready to get back to whatever you were doing. Well, some humans will take to just throwing their cigarette on the ground, stamping on it, and leaving it there. This can cause issues among others, as they consider littering, and they don't like how the cigarette butts will tarnish an otherwise clean area. After rigorous research from many unicorns, we were able to pull quite a bit of data from this male under 35 group, and we've got an outline on what this may look like. You have a young man, call him Jim, and Jim works generally in hospitality. He'll be serving people in a bar, working in a cafe, ducking out for a cigarette break when he gets the chance. He lives in a share house, as in the economy for humans, it's quite difficult to get your own home at a young age. Now, moving on to the numbers that we've managed to pull. Of the men under 35, 25% of them smoke roll your own cigarettes, according to our vast data. Now, 40% of the people there smoke socially, so that's people who will only smoke when they're in a social situation and will not smoke on their own. So 40% of the people that we spoke to that were smokers only did so amongst other people, which shows just how important these social structures are to smoking. Looking to the heavy end of the chart, we see 79% had drinking or driving as a trigger for smoking. Many young people, in particular under 35, had seen rolling cigarettes as more natural, as it wasn't pre-manufactured like a standard cigarette was, and they had to put the cigarette together themselves. It's a deconstructed cigarette. So when we looked at Jim, smoking rolled cigarettes becomes more of a sort of nuanced thing than just smoking a dart. People now are more wary of overly manufactured things and are looking to more natural alternatives. Rolling your own tobacco seems one of these options that people believe might be healthier, as it is sort of a more natural process. Unfortunately for them, it isn't, and in fact it might actually be worse for them, as part of the process to keep the tobacco fresh adds extra chemicals to it. We saw in our earlier graphic that many people had only tried to quit cold turkey or hadn't tried at all, and that wouldn't be the case if they had better ideas of how to go about it. Providing a framework should be the most imperative of steps that any government or not-profit organization should be taking to change behavior. People will not simply change their behavior if told of negative consequences for their actions. And Michael P. Kelly and Mary Barker asked the question, why is changing health-related behavior so difficult? And they found an interesting thing. Simply pushing people into a positive behavior didn't work, and many would fall back on their old habits as an act of rebellion against people telling them what they can and can't do. However, they are looking to improve themselves and will generally try to, and the most effective method to get them there is with a nudge. Just a gentle reminder, a slight suggestion, a helping hand, a bit of assistance here and there can go a long way with people. Don't tell people to stop, tell people why they should stop, and then tell them how. So is there any hope for young Jim? Well, this intrepid reporter believes that with the right combination of information, behavioral guidance, and a slight nudge towards the right choices, our friend Jim may be able to kick the habit and become a healthier, more productive person. I've been Captain Oates. You stay wonderful.